Hey, welcome back. This is 30 Days for Dillon, Part 1, page 13, um, by uh, by the Safe for Work Amazon official release version. Technically, with the not safe for work pages for Patreon, it would be page 16, but to sort of keep this, I'm hoping this kind of keeps it easy to work with later on when I'm building the actual book. Um, that all the not safe for work pages that are going into that are going to be patron exclusives, Patreon, whatever you want to call it. Those are getting numbered A, B, C, etc. with the number of the previous page. So in this case, they followed page 11, so those pages got page 11A, page 11B, page 11C. Ugh, okay, I've got all the color settings kind of mixed up because I was making the window posters, quote unquote posters. So I ended up changing a lot of settings and they're all still kind of mixed up. Control X. Invert, select, shrink, invert, edit, cut, and select none. So what I'm going to be doing here earlier in the story is just having him wander to these random gyms. We'll get these random scenes of him kind of meeting people in the gym, talking to them, trying to feel out if he's in the right place. So this is the first gym we I called it Clyde's gym. I I don't know if this guy is Clyde or not, or if it's just a name he gave the gym, or if he's even the owner. He could be an employee. But that actually that's unlikely, as I'll sort of end up explaining in the narration. Um, the other thing is I'm sort of using these to give a little bit more background. So it's like on the previous page, where it it's random. It's just one random image after another of him in the car driving around. It's just meant to sort of give a lot of expository information. Actually, hold on. Oh, and I forgot what number that was. Okay, I'm an idiot. Whoops. No, I'm where I want to be. Let's see. 2, 6. Okay, render. So it's like on the previous page, I use the narration to basically outline where he's going in sort of a indirect way. He describes these people are following the interstate, basically indicating that's where his direction is going to be. He's going to get on the interstate and kind of keep going, hitting different places along the way. Um, I think with these scenes inside the gym, he's going to describe, he's kind of going to talk about how these little holes in the wall are the most likely places he's going to find somebody dealing a new drug. I'll get into that. I also, at some point, I kind of also want to mention that, or have him mention that the operation that kicked all this off, where his cover was blown, I want him to mention at some point that he really wasn't investigating the gym. It just happened that he was trying to make contact with this guy in a place where they were coincidentally, it's purely coincidental that they were running an illegal operation out of the back. Um, I know the topic of steroids tends to get controversial depending on how you feel about them. Sort of in that context, I did want to describe that, or have him say, kind of make a comment that like half the department is doing something, so we don't want to. We wouldn't be out here busting our potential sources. um, and I did want to have him admit taking performance enhancing drugs. Um, oh my God, that pencil cup. I might just get rid of it. What the heck? The problem with that pencil cup is the vendor that sold it. It's probably got iray shaders, and the vendor probably, what do I want to do? Collapse all. Probably use some shaders that are not compatible with 3 to Light at all. Um, Gym and furniture. And you know what? I did forget to. No, I didn't. It'll be so much easier just to get rid of the pencil set than to try and figure out what they did. Oh yeah, see these are actually, is the telephone too? Okay, so these are easy. I have a script that kind of converts the iray shaders to something I can use in 3 to Light. I've got to come into the Surface tab, select them all, and then it's in my content library, and it's stored under scripts, and it's this one with the weird numbers. Um, it's not perfect. So if I use it on people, I usually have adjustments to make. On props like this, I can usually get away with just using the script as is and leaving it alone. And if you're wondering where to find it, um, if you go onto the DAS forums, onto the DAS store, the DAS website, and go into the forums, it's in the freebie forum, and I honestly can't really tell you where it is because one of those things like I forget where I grabbed it, but it's if you go searching through the freebie forum, there's a lot of wonderful free resources, um, props, figures, etc., etc. And even if they're not perfect, you can always, adapt them, adjust them. When it comes to props, really, if you've got something that looks kind of outdated, sort of the shaders, the lighting, the color just doesn't really look that good compared to what you can do today. If it looks like something that was made 20 years ago and not today, when it comes to props, it's really easy to just sort of adjust shade, it's mess with the shaders to make it look new, to make it look modern, recent. So if you're looking at just standard props, like this desk, for instance, or the computer set or whatever, um, look at it in terms of the shape, in terms of the form, and not kind of how it's shaded, textured, colored, or whatever in the promo pics, because you can always update textures, always update shaders. But anyway, so that's kind of what I want to do in the early part of the story. For maybe I'm trying to see. I can't really give an idea of how long, but however long it is that I just showcase him kind of fumbling about from random location to random location. That's the idea, is to use these gym scenes to basically just deliver that kind of expository information. Um, and that's not all I want to do. So, I think I've described it to kind of to a number of you on Discord, I believe. It's sort of the idea is the investigation is just kind of the vehicle to get him moving. It's kind of the meat of the piece is going to be, is I'm expecting it to be back in whatever motel room he happens to be in on a particular day, when he's by himself behind closed doors where nobody's going to see him. That's kind of when he's going to take in sort of how much he's grown since the previous day. That's when he's going to sort of admit openly, or sort of or start noticing openly that, like his clothes are not fitting right. He already needs something bigger, et cetera, et cetera. You kind of go through all the self-discovery moments. Plus, back in the motel room is when I want to do sort of like the random phone calls with Travis, um, and or kind of the fantasy sequences where he's sort of imagining, dreaming about being with Travis. Because I think, I've talked about it in the previous video. Because they're separated, there's no really on screen or on page relationship. So that's my plan, is to have a lot of it as fantasy. It's like night after night he's imagining the homecoming, or he's afraid he'll come home and Travis won't like the new him, that sort of stuff. It's just whatever he's feeling on a particular day. And I'm thinking later in the piece, he I'm thinking he actually partners up with another undercover cop who's working on the case independently. I think when I created the character, I was thinking it was going to be um, almost a one-off. Like he works with him while he's in town and then moves on. But I'm thinking it might be It might be more interesting if he's got somebody to interact with. Uh, these aren't, these aren't really taking that long in the grand scheme of things. It seems like it is. It's like, well, for one, they're not the quickest of pictures, but they're not the slowest either. It's pretty much a good way. It's pretty much a good. It's not bad. But the other thing too is that I'm gonna save the narration bit for the end. So I have an idea. So that way, I have an idea of what I've got for space on the page, so I know how to break it up to make use of kind of some dead space. So maybe I could put something up here or down here, or wherever. I did this on the previous page. I have no idea where I'll be able to slip in a narrative box. So there's no sense in preparing the text and preparing all the boxes and then having to redo them all because they don't fit, and dialogue would maybe be better cut in different places, or the monologue. Um, this is kind of weird because this is actually taking a long time for the bottom half of the picture. Usually I get all the problems with the hair because the hair has so many polygons for the engine to calculate, and then once I get beyond the hairstyle it goes pretty quick, but this looks like it's dragging. Looks like it got past the hair and slowed down. Um, kind of watching it go. It's not, yeah, it's not really going that, no, it's not really going that slow, so I don't know why it feels like it. See, so this one will probably get cut here, and I'll probably be able to put a text box, put the first text box down here in the bottom. Um, this project overall, well, I mean, it's like, well, this picture seems to be going slow, slower than I was hoping. Um, this project is moving along slowly, partly because of all these set changes. So this gym, for example, I spent the better part of today kind of creating and designing this gym for what's probably just going to be a couple of pages. Whoops. Oh, this one's number 7. Oh, I forgot I had that picture inside the. um, layers. But the design of this gym, I was just going to create an interior, and I ended up going ahead and putting on an outer face just in case. And then, of course, I had to use it. Um, Actually, I think I can go 34 on this one. I want them as tight. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I got plenty of room. Um, Actually, yeah, let's put him. No, I'll set my cut line and then. Yeah, that's good. So I'll cut that. I've got to adjust it. None. It's got to come up, right? Yeah. So the idea for this, I sort of wanted something in sort of a strip mall kind of place, a small, tight location, something that's not very big. Um, and of course, these kind of places usually have the big windows in the front, and that's what I was going for. But then I don't really want to put in an entire environment on the other side. So I went back to the windows and created basically what is supposed to look like window-sized posters, paintings, whatever you want to call it, where it's just basically standard advertising and everything is kind of faded. It wasn't quite my intention, but I like it because it gives the appearance that the sun's been beating on it and wearing it all down. Select, shrink, select, invert. Uh, the only thing I got to watch out for now is that I don't get a shot out the door. And part of the problem, and it's like I've come into some issues with this, so it's kind of like oh, okay, I go this way. Okay, Um, so I was having issues with the previous page. Problem is, like by the time you get around, with all the work that gets stuck putting into these scenes, by the time you actually get to rendering the picture and dealing with the page, it's like so late, I'm tired, and then kind of like halfway through, you realize you messed up all kinds of stuff. And again, it's late, you've put so much time into just getting to that point. You look at it as how can how can I just work with what I've got? So the previous page started where he was sneaking out of the bedroom, and then the four individual images with the car. So I'll give you an example. Um, when I was doing that bedroom scene, you get a pretty good look. The actual picture I got, you get a pretty good look into the bathroom, and I forgot to put the furniture back on, all the bathroom stuff back on. So when once I notice it, it looks really goofy. So I was able, it was like I was able to kind of slide the picture over to cut that portion off, but it puts him off the page like this. And I kind of wish I didn't have to, but I had already restaged that whole scene for the first car scene. Uh, see here, I've got text that isn't right. 10. And yes, centered. Oops, caps lock. Spent a few days in the area. Spent a few days in the area. Can I get in? You need a gym on here. Membership I can buy. It's a pretty big text box. I get all these little articles. Oops. And I'll just split this manually. And I think that will work. So then, I think the other thing too is I've actually got a pair of sunglasses for him, and he looks really good in the sunglasses. Oops, cancel. So what I wanted to do was kind of have him sort of riding around with sunglasses on. And I get a couple of pictures in and realize I forgot about the sunglasses. So I just had to say to heck with that. I'll find a way to work them in later. But they didn't quite make it into the car sequence. Plus, it didn't seem this sequence. It didn't seem like a good fit to have him wearing them here because it would just be the one shot, and he'd have to take them off anyway when he comes inside. I'd kind of like to save it for when I get like a good sequence with some good shots of him in the glasses. Um, what else do I want to say? Um, I think in the opening pages you see about how big he's going to get. Um, by the time this is over, he's going to be a little bit bigger than that, but not much. It's like I've described to some of you in Discord. He's going to stay. It's going to be a plausible size difference, and he's going to get big, but not absurd. And that's and the sequences at the beginning were probably bordering on absurd, but so it's the idea is because if it's 30 days or 28 by the time when the story opens, it's only 28 when the story opens. I've got all the sliders for the morphs kind of set to transform him in steps. And it's probably not too obvious, but it's kind of when you see him next to the previous day, the difference in just one day is is um is stark. So it's not like he can go a couple of days. So his dilemma through the story is that he can't go a couple of days and pretend it's not noticeable. Plus that's the fear too, is he'll show up at the gym the next day and he'll be noticeably bigger. And so there's going to be this underlying fear throughout that his cover is going to end up, his the cover that he's putting on during this road trip is at risk every time he comes into the gym the next day. The idea is probably later in the story he's going to come out and pose as and sort of pose that he's actively looking for this drug combo. But I think for now, he's basically just pushing. I think it's what it is he's going to kind of feel out um, these little hole in the wall gyms and kind of inquire if there's somebody who can supply basic steroids. The idea is that if he can make contact with the local dealer, then he can kind of feel out from that person if they're doing, if they're dealing in anything um, unusual, exotic, whatever. And then I think it's not going to be till later in his adventure where he's big enough that I think his story is going to change that. His story, he's basically going to claim he's been doing steroids for a while. At this point, like, nothing is effective anymore. He's looking for something to give him an extra oomph, that kind of thing. He's basically going to come out and ask for this drug without really asking for it. But it's kind of like the day to day. If he's got a gym that looks promising and he stays for a few days, it's going to be really obvious that something's going on with him. Plus, with his change, realistically, his clothes shouldn't fit in when he wakes up in the morning. Unless he's buying several sizes bigger, he's outgrowing his clothes every day. Bring this in here. Trying to think what to have him reply. Because, I mean, it's not really important. All he really needs to say is yes. I don't really need him. It's like, story wise, I don't need him to get into a big spiel about, I don't usually get people looking for a trial membership in here. Invert. But that's what that's like what my brain is wanting to do. So I'll get a little reaction shot of him. And I'm going to have to take, oops, let's just collapse all. I'm going to have to take Dillon out of this shot. Oh, and I don't even have a folder to park him in. Okay. So we'll just create one. Unused, Control C, and paint there. And then I can just go and let's unclick it. You know what? Oh, let me bend this up a bit. That mouse is tiny. See, if you end up collecting stuff off the desk store, that's one thing you're going to run into quite frequently, is that some vendors, for whatever reason, don't scale their props to conform with everything else sold in the store. So in theory, everything should be scaled to match the size of the figures, because basically the people, like this guy or Dillon or whoever you park in a scene, is is basically what you're scaling everything around. So everything, vehicles, props, like this mouse, for instance, it should it should in theory come. I don't need to touch that. And I have a feeling 125 is too big. Oh, maybe not. Hold on. Keyboard is too small. Oh, yeah, you know what? Let's go 125. 125 is appropriate. But there's way too much stuff in the store that's not scaled to fit the figures that they sell. You know, cars that are either outrageously big or ridiculously small. Like I said, this mouse is tiny. You know, it almost looks like it was made for a real mouse. Come on. It's kind of ridiculous. This his arm is kind of ridiculously above the. Oh, I have to pull back. Oh yeah, okay, so that matches. Actually, I think like that one text box can go. Well, no, I need him angled, so I can go ahead and cut off as much of the computer screen because you get the idea. So the text box from Dillon can go up here. I'll put his answer down on the bottom. Okay, and why is this gonna start acting up all of a sudden? Okay. Right up. Need some information? I'll be signed right up. I think I can condense this. Or not. How come that? Oh, there we go. Like, there's no way that should go to a fourth line. Control C and V. And the other thing that's kind of slightly annoying is kind of creating all these extras. Because here it is, I've got three quote unquote characters for this gym scene. We'll probably only see them a couple of times and then we'll move on. It'll be the last thing. So, it just it feels like a waste creating extras like that. But on the flip side, because they're kind of disposable as characters, I don't really put that much effort into um, sort of creating their look, just enough to make them look interesting. Because again, I'll probably never use them again, so I don't need to spend kind of the time I did in created when I created Dillon and Travis. The other possibility is that they could get, maybe I could, it's like at some point I could end up using them as extras in future projects, when I just need people in the background. It's honestly like really easy to just change a hairstyle, change their clothing, and they look like different people. It's you'd kind of think the same way if you saw the hairstyle I had on Travis before changing it to something shorter. Is just changing the hairstyle really made Travis look like a different person. And kind of thinking along that lines, I could do the same in reverse. All the extras that I had thrown together for the gym in From Beta to Beast could be easily sort of redressed and brought in here at some point. I already saved that picture before hitting record again. So, uh, layers. Okay, I can actually get quite a bit of that. Oh, you know what? I can actually get quite a bit of that screen, and I can stretch this out a little bit. I think one thing I'm thinking here is, well, I mean, with what I want to do, I don't know. With what I want to do, I don't know if my fears are going to come to fruition. But I'm almost wondering now, all of a sudden, if it could get a little confusing to the reader that nobody in these gyms is really being developed as a character. What did I do? Invert and Control X. So it's like I said, because at this point, what I want to do is just get a lot of expository information out. I'm just going to showcase him bouncing around. And why can't I get this? There we go. I guess that's the best I can do. Shoot. Oops. I'm not liking this. There we go. I guess I'll work with that. So I definitely foresee this being kind of a random series of events. until we get to the end. And I think in the last video I was saying that kind of a lot of the stuff that's going to come later, I'm not entirely sold which direction I'm going to be going in on some of the details of this thing. But one thing I'm thinking, and apparently I'm not thinking of it because I just sort of lost the thought in distraction here. Oh, 90. Yeah, I just completely lost whatever thought I was going with here. Let's go 15, negative 15. Oops. And I can see it. I've got something twisted. So let's go delete the keys. Oh, come on. Okay. What the heck? Oh my god, it's gonna keep doing this. Jeez. I don't know if it's the mouse that's sensitive or the program is just being annoying. Frankly, could be the mouse. Oh, his feet aren't even on the ground. What the heck? Come on, grab the foot. There we go. Bend. Yeah, whatever thought I was in the middle of there, I just completely lost, and I'm probably not going to get it back. Let's see. Grasp, we want spread out. Yeah, this barbell is already unparented. Now let's pop. Oh, I know what I was thinking of. One of the things that I'm considering, one of the things, and I'm strongly considering it, so I mean, it's probably certain I'm going to do it. Come on. That I'm pretty sure that he's going to go beyond day 30. Yeah, because what I'd love to do is sort of have like sort of an internal conflict at the end where as he gets bigger, he realizes it becomes addicting and he wants more. What just happened? Nothing. Actually, you know what? I'm going to be seeing him from a distance, so I don't need to worry about perfection here. Okay. Let's grab everything up to the collar. Come into edit, figure, symmetry, and it's right to left. We go accept, and then I've just got to adjust the hand here. Ooh, come on. Let's collapse all. I want Dillon unparented, unparent. Zoom in on him. Let's delete that key. Ugh. Um, hmm. I might have to take this window out. One thing I did, structure. Window sign is a separate prop because I came up with it after the building. And then what I did with the building is the window, the front window is actually part of this building instead of a separate prop like I usually do. So I'm going to come in, grab frame, and then the glass. Oh, shoot. The glass is at 30%. So we just have to remember that. Come on. And I'm not sure if I can get the angle I want because I want him at the edge of the scene. Hopefully. I want him at the edge of the scene looking at them. And actually, I think I was sitting there thinking I should throw something onto the computer screen, but I think I can cover it up with a text box. See if I go looking down, then I get more room at the bottom. You know, if I put them at the top of the picture. Just kind of go side to side. Slight twist. And I'm not liking this, so let's. Oops, I don't want that much. And he is still. Let's go a little bit. Okay. Um, kind of people I'm looking for operate out of small small hole in the wall, places like this. Places with small memberships and high up rent. Places with small memberships and high rent. From other sources. This was just a little bit longer than I was hoping. Oh, shoot, you know what? Okay, hold on. Let's take that off for a second. Control C. I can, okay, so yeah, see, so here's where I can split it. I'll put it in that box. And then I can scale this down. Um, shoot. Okay. Oops. From other sources. Places like this one. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Kind of people I'm looking for operate out. Oh, see, I'm messing this up. Out of small hole in the wall places. Um, Places like this one. Shoot, I kind of wanted more. I kind of wanted more than that. Hmm. So, and like I said, in playing with that sign for the front of the store, for the front of the building, I ended up messing with a lot of the presets I had, including my color scheme. So I'm not in the color box here. No, this one. I'm not exactly sure which shade represented the dialog box. So what I'm just going to do is go open and pick, probably page 12 has a dialog box. So then what I can come in do, grab the eyedropper, um, and then let's just pick the color. Come into here, new layer. Just like that. And I want you. It's a little too. Okay. Invert. Let's switch this back to black. select invert, grow, invert, and cut. And I think Control V. Okay, I can park you up there for now. Let's come up here, bring you back on. I need. Shoot. Oh, I know I don't need that one. Delete the layer. Okay, I'm a numpty here. I can just grab this layer, Control C, Control V to paste it. And I gotta move it, but I gotta move the active layer because I have no idea where this is. Okay, there it is. Because this is annoying. At a full-sized layer, let's trim it down. Layer, crop to selection. That'll make it a little more manageable. Bring it up here. Shoot, and I got these mixed up. And we'll do this just like the text boxes, the dialog boxes. Control X and V. Oops, Control Z. Now I want to pick layer. Merge that down and then just do it again with the bottom. Control C and V. Well, not again. Instead of cut and paste, we'll copy and paste. But you get the idea. Merge down. I think I want this one over just a little bit. I think it'll look better if it's not covering the door. Oh shoot! And his feet are freaking. Ugh. I thought I had that all straightened out. Let's cancel. We're almost done too. Anything else while I'm here? Okay, I'm just gonna hold on that for now. Let's park a camera so I don't lose that shot. Yeah, so before like I said, I spent the better part of the day building this set, and on top of that, throwing these characters together, posing this whole scene. This is one of those where this story is going to take a long time to work on because it's going to end up with a lot more setup than I usually do. So render that. Yeah, here's the last picture. So we'll pop this in. So yeah, this one will just get popped in. And then we'll adjust, and that should be it. I think I can go 45. Oops. Oops, Control Z. Oh my god. We gotta crop that one to selection. Okay, no, it's not this one. Oh, shoot. Ah, okay, I'm messing this up all over the place. There we go. This is the layer we want. to the layer, crop that one to selection. See, this thing is just one big troubled project. So I want it there. And the problem I'm having is that this monitor isn't covered like I wanted it to. Let's just save. I'm going to go redo this. So collapse all. What I end up doing, we want gym, furniture, monitor. And this is going to be slightly problematic. Oops, zoom to fit. Because the monitor is this little tiny square. Um, where whatever monitor I usually use is the screen is sort of as big as the whole UV area. So I can normally just plug in whatever it is I want and then just kind of adjust it. Here, the screen is so small, I've got to do this manually. So what I'm going to do is, this is Textures Charlie MRI. Let's close this one. So I'll show you kind of how to adjust for a UV map. Okay, and why does it not want to read Windows? Um, hmm. Okay, so we go to users. It's going to be public, documents, my des library, right? No. Runtime, textures. And I've got so many. Okay, and it was Charlie, right? Charlie, and then MRI. Computer diff, I think is what I'm looking for. Yep. Okay. So now I have to remember where I put those. Um, I want to say that at some point I collected all the computer screens. Yep, I collected all this stuff. So we'll just take this screenshot of of Excel. Oh, okay, this isn't so bad. So what I want to do is park it there. I can go a little big because you're not going to see it that much. Oops. Oh, this isn't something tells me it's not going to. Okay, so you know what? We'll just center it and call it a day. Hopefully, this will work. And what I'm going to do is file export as, and I'll just give it a different number. Alt. Export. And hopefully, browse. And where are we? Oh. Default. Oh wow, actually that came out better than I thought. So that's what I want, is just something on the computer screen to make it look like he's entering the information. And what I'm going to do is render this again. I don't need to change anything. We'll hit render. We'll come in and we'll kind of clean up all this mess I made. Delete that one. While that's going, I can dump those in there. Since I don't need this anymore, let's close this, discard changes. Okay, so we just saved the picture. I'm going to go File, Open as Layers. Let's bring the new one in. Scale layer 45. So it's, I don't know, I want it. I get kind of OCD about that. I had it set up, so I kind of want it exactly where it is, where the other one was. So I'm going to delete that one, and then I'm going to go Layer to Image Size. No, this one. Oh my God, I'm really off lately. Control X, select Invert, Shrink, Invert, and convert that down. Kind of like it a little more over to the edge, but I've got this big empty space here I want to cover up. Anyway, let's save and export page 13. Export. And then we'll come in here and let's have a look at it. The kind of people I'm looking for operate out of small hole-in-the-wall places, places with small memberships and high rent. I'm spending a few days in the area and I need a gym while I'm here. Do you have a trial membership I could buy? Yeah, sure thing. Just need some information and I'll get you signed right up. Places that obviously get some of their income from other sources. Places like this one. Anyway, after that long journey, that's page 13, and I will see you next time.